to another session of Khoj Gurbani. Ravinder Singh here, joining you from Columbus. We have some business left over from the last presentation on Naam that Prabpreet Singh had shared with us. We were running out of time, and we didn't get really a chance to do our Q&A. So what we're going to do is spend about 10, 15 minutes perhaps, and pepper Prabpreet with any questions that we might have from the last time. So with that, Chetandeep, do you want to start? Because I know you had an observation. You probably had a question as well.
Hanji Virji, so I'm trying to jog my memory here, but I think in a sense, my question was, Prapreet, for you. You mentioned about doing and not doing. So, in your opinion, how do we move from
Yeah, Virji. What I feel is, in a way, even asking that question is a lot of doing. But that being said, we are always putting in a lot of effort to move in a certain direction and to have certain questions answered. And what comes across to me is when we have specific questions in mind and when we are into something with those specific questions in mind and trying to get answers to those specific questions, it is our intellect, it is our logical thinking which takes over. And in that case, that vision, or what Gurbani I feel calls the nadar, which is working, is limited to my worldview, the world that I have created within the Jagrachana. And if the worldview is limited to mine, then what I will get in return would also be very fractured and partial and get limited. I would be able to perceive information or answers or experiences which are in part, and those parts may not make up the whole. And when we talk about the experience of the one, it has to be the wholesome experience, which is through the intellect of the guru. And how we drop our intellect, as at times I feel that we overcomplicate the process, and it's very similar when it comes to Gurbani, or when it is about our daily lives. There should not be any difference whether we are trying to understand Gurbani or practice a good daily life. I think even spending time with the Guru is no different than spending time, for example, when I'm with my son. Uh, Even yesterday night, when I was trying to put him to sleep, he wants me to always tell a story. And I have very, very strongly felt that there are occasions when I am tired, and I would tell him a story just to achieve that purpose of putting him to sleep. And at that time, the experience is not very enjoyable, and I am into the doing act. And I have to think hard. I have to think hard to come up with a good story, and I always fail to do that. And he doesn't enjoy it. Whereas on other occasions, it becomes like a very pleasurable experience in which both of us are together and we are achieving something. Maybe he's going to sleep. Our bond of love is also increasing, and it goes beyond what my intellect might have thought of. So it's as simple as that. And each of us may have our own experiences. We may not have ready-made answers for each other. So the journey is our own, and we have to live through it. That's what I feel.
but VJ, I mean, I heard your response, but I'm still trying to analyze from your response. Again, words are limited. I still didn't hear how do we move from doing to not doing, especially given the context, especially where we are. We are here in illusion, in Hame, right? So, given the context or the situation, How do we move from doing to not doing?
Yeah, VG. So that's that's exactly what I'm saying. The first and foremost starting point would be to uh, get rid of this question as well, because when we have this question in our mind, we are in a lot of doing. We are in a very rigid frame of mind where we want to get rid of the doing and we want to stop doing now. Whereas at some other instance, we want to know probably what is hukam, we want to know what Kabir Sahib is saying in a particular line, or what Naam is. There is a lot of doing in that act when we are looking for specific answers. So, my response to that is, when we are experiencing something and when we are here and now in the process, then it is much lesser doing and much more experiencing things as they come to me. I'm not sure if I'm able to put it in words. Let me try and take an example.
I'm going to intervene here. I think, Chetandeep, you and I had a similar conversation offline, and it is very interesting that I said exactly the same thing to you that Prapreet is saying. The very questioning of this is really perhaps not appropriate. But I have to be very mindful of time, Chetandeep. So I have to sort of ask you, if you have any
Right.
follow-up questions, just take them up with Prapreet.
I understand, and I think I got what
Yeah,
he said.
good, good. Okay, very good. Ripudaman.
Hi, Vijay. Prapreet, I did listen to your presentation. Thank you for that. I loved the knowing and knowing about distinction. Um, so there's a Gurbani Shabad which says "Bande Khoj Dil Khoj Din Har Din," right? Um, so how do you interpret Khoj there? Is it doing, not doing?
Yeah, so what I just was discussing with Chetandeep Virji, I think Khoj is like that journey when we are in immersive search of the truth, and it's absolutely a state of mind where we are dropping all our questions and like Kabir Sahib also says in another Shabad that मरता मरता जग मुआ मर भी ना जाने कोई ऐसी मरनी जो मरे बहर ना मरना होए. So that marni, I feel he's referring to that acquiring of the nadar, or being able to see that nadar where I'm able to drop my own intellect, drop the questions. And when I drop that intellect, then I am on a path, and the path is leading myself to the destination, with each experience building on top of the other, and that creating a path for me, and which is where my journey becomes very unique in itself, which is where I may not be able to get answers from somebody else, that hey, I am not able to understand this, can you tell me how to decipher it. That might be some discussion, but then at the end, what I might experience or conclude within my Khoj, my search, which is also what we are calling these sessions Khoj Gurbani, where all of us are discussing, but then the takeaways and how we analyze it and how we move back and incorporate it in our daily lives might be very different for each one of us.
Anji, thank you, Ji. Ranjit Singh Virji, I know you've joined us. If you have any question, we're trying to finish off last presentation before we can start.
No, I didn't have a chance to reflect on that again, and
Okay,
no, I will pass. And sorry, I got a little late. Sorry.
not a problem. Eileen.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I was so appreciative of the presentation. I thought it was just so great. I was really reflecting on my own path, and I found it just really resonated with me. The first time that I found a faith in the Creator and accepted that was in that same kind of experiential mode where you know, I had all this training in philosophy and looking at things from a logic point of view, looking at things from, you know, empiricist point of view with evidence. And it never had occurred to me to ask myself, you know, what do I believe to be truth in my experience? And so from Gurbani, that's what that triggered in me, is that contemplating the experience side of things. And then, you know, thinking about how it applies to life. And so I just found it very, the metaphors were really intuitive. And I know they're not just metaphors, they're your life, Virji, but just the idea, I mean, I don't have a passion for farming or gardening, but I understand completely what you mean by the concept versus the actual activity that you can't perhaps even prove to be true. Like, it's not about proving it. It's not about analyzing it from your analytical mind, but just having a deep understanding of a different level of truth. So that's how I took it, and I just thought it was great.
Thank you. Thank you. And I don't think there's anybody here that I haven't called on. So in conclusion, Prabpreet, I also want to share what Eileen has said. Your presentation resonated with me a great deal. And like you, I also am of the view that this is experiential and we all have our own experiences. We can, of course, sit here and discuss things, but I think in my mind, at the end of the day, our thoughts are our biggest barriers. So with that said, much appreciated, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Vijay.